The family is in the middle of the road, and the Stone family is about to go bankrupt. I, a good girl, were forced to marry the young master of the Thoreau family? Griselda Stone is so good. If she marries our family, we will definitely not treat her badly. The old man smiled and looked at me with very kind eyes. My dad gestured to me, and I smiled and bowed my head slightly, pretending to be shy. Thank you, Grandpa. Werner Thoreau sat down in his chair and looked me up and down. Hooked lips sneered. So well behaved. It's really suitable to marry home as a wife, and I won't care about my master. When the old man saw his ruffian, his face changed suddenly, and he angrily struck the ground with his cane. How do you speak, Werner Thoreau? I'm telling you, you don't want to outside again. Otherwise, I'll break your legs. The man just couldn't sit still. That's not good. She's so pure. How boring. As soon as he said that, the cane struck him. Ouch, Grandpa. You tap. You're such a precious grandson. Werner Thoreau's mother persuaded the fight. They were hilarious, but I didn't care. My fingers frantically stirred under the table, because the man sitting across from me was looking at me gloomily. It sent a chill down my spine. Just last night, because of the marriage I was going to marry, I was in a particularly unpleasant mood. Go to the bar with your sisters to be chic, you say. What do men live? Is it a puppet to be manipulated with at will? I'm already a little drunk. Baby, I don't have any money. Can you pay tonight? I looked at Dora Atlee aggrievedly, half of my body leaning on her, a little dizzy. Dora Atlee removed the bottle from my hand. I'll pay. And you still don't have this drink money. If you don't want to get married, we won't marry. It's a big deal for my sister to support you. I smirked when I heard that. Baby, you're so nice, but I can't disobey them. I have been since I was a child. I cried as I spoke, and I don't remember much about what happened next. It's just that when I woke up, my whole body was sore, like 100 bags of cement, and beside me lay a handsome guy, with long eyelashes and a high nose bridge. I called, Groove. My hand was still on his strong abs, and my mind went blank. At that time, I just vaguely remember that I pulled Dora Atlee, and said that I wanted male models to indulge. When I woke up and saw the person next to me, I was still thinking, such a superb male model. I have to make a lot of money, but I'm just a daughter who is about to go bankrupt, and my wallet is deflated. He slipped the only $200 in his wallet into his pocket. I thought that when I slipped away, there would be no more intersections, but I didn't expect to meet so soon. The other party turned out to be Porter Thoreau, the head of the Thoreau family, and the uncle of my marriage partner. At this time, his leather shoes were hooking the hem of my skirt. There's a very subtle atmosphere. He had a very obvious bite mark on his neck, which was particularly glaring. I remember him whispering in my ear, relax. I couldn't help biting his neck, and the force was not small. The man not only didn't care, but also chuckled. I didn't expect it to be a little wildcat. Later, I fainted. Blurring my memory, I vaguely felt the man kissing the tattoo on my back, over and over again. Griselda Stone. What do you think? My mother's voice pulled my thoughts. I tucked my foot in, avoiding his touch. Hey, what? Her face instantly collapsed, and she was a little unhappy. What god are you walking? We're talking about the details of your wedding. Get engaged first, and then find a good day to get married. What do you think? Also, why is your face so red and feverish? When her hand was about to touch me, I subconsciously dodged it, shook his head and obediently whispered, no. Maybe I'm wearing a little too much today. You can just think it's okay. I can do it. Who would have thought that I blushed because I saw Porter Thoreau's crossed knuckles on the table, looking at his hand? I thought of last night. It's too much of a shame. I wear so much because there is no way. Only a high neck can cover the strawberry necklace. Griselda Stone is really well behaved. You guys are so good. You teach such a good daughter. Unlike my stinky boy, who is not in shape. Werner Thoreau is also very personable. I said these two children are a good match. The two families began to compliment each other again. Somehow, Porter Thoreau crushed the wine glass with his bare hands. Everyone's attention was drawn to him. I saw the man calmly pick up the napkin and wipe his soiled hands. I'm sorry, I used a lot more force to hold the wine glass, and the quality of this wine glass is not good. As he spoke, my back was inexplicably covered in a cold sweat. Full of shock, the old man looked at him thoughtfully. Are your hands all right? He still looked indifferent. It's okay. You go ahead and I'll take care of it. Then he got up and nodded, and turned to leave. I looked at his back, and pursed my lower lip. But my mother caught me thinking so carefully, and whispered to me, Griselda Stone, I'm telling you, don't think about a character like Porter Thoreau. You can't handle it. Besides, in the end, the Thoreau family is not in the hands of Werner Thoreau. Marry Werner Thoreau obediently. He is your destiny. I looked back, lowered my head, and said, got it. Werner Thoreau was a cynical and stubborn young master, unlike a man like Porter Thoreau. In contrast, Werner Thoreau would be a better handle for us at Stone. After Werner Thoreau got married, the Thoreau family was slowly handed over to Werner Thoreau. Porter Thoreau, on the other hand, has its own separate industry and investments, now in Thoreau's house. It's just because the old man has retired, and his brother is an incapable master. When he handed over the company to his brother, he almost brought the Thoreau family to life, and it was Porter Thoreau who brought him back to life. The old man never let him go to the company again, and from then on put Porter Thoreau in charge. Parents continued to discuss the details and were very happy. Werner Thoreau was not too interested in this matter, and kept playing with his phone, as if replying to messages. I felt a little bored, and I used the toilet as an excuse to leave this depressing place for a short time. I was looking for a toilet in the corridor, but he was dragged into a storage room with a lot of force. The man quickly closed the door and pressed me against it. The warm breath spilled over my ears. Big hands wrapped tightly around my lower back. Extremely possessive. Little wildcat. She's still a good girl, Tilda. Good girl. What a scumbag, Tilda. I ran away after sleeping, and I left 200 yuan. Is it a token of love for me? Heh. The tips of my ears instantly turned red, and I could even hear my heartbeat when I quieted down. I licked my lips and put my hand against his chest. I don't know what you're talking about. Please let me go. Anyway, I'm drunk, and I just don't admit it. Besides, last night I wore a miniskirt with heavy makeup, which was completely different from the innocent appearance I have now. It's not an exaggeration to say that it's a different person. As I walked out of the hotel this morning, I immediately called my best friend, and asked her what had happened last night. She said, I got drunk and said that I was going to find a male model, and then when I saw a handsome guy, I hugged the back of Simone's neck and didn't let go, shook off her hand, and insisted on pulling the handsome guy to the hotel. Like a stubborn donkey, he couldn't pull it. When I got out of the bar, I pushed people into a taxi, and they couldn't catch me up. She said that she had been looking for me all night and that the phone could not get through. I was a little weak-hearted, because the mobile phone was in the depths of my feelings, and I was annoyed by the ringtone, so I turned off the phone and threw it away. I ended the call with her with a sloppy eye. I was caught off guard by a cigarette stuck between my lips. Still a latest cigarette. Your stuff accidentally fell behind. He lit it for me, and I subconsciously took a sip. It's a damn instinctive move. Seeing this, the man couldn't help but hook the corners of his mouth. He took the cigarette away with 2 fingers. Suddenly, there was some stinging pain in the neck. The man pulled down my high collar with his other hand and bit me down on the neck. After biting out the wound, he stuck out the tip of his tongue and licked it. I immediately pushed him away, and gave him a slap in the face. What are you doing? Porter Thoreau pushed the tip of his tongue down the side of my face, and put his lips over my ear, and I could even feel his warm breath. I'm still reciprocating this gift. Isn't it too much? He took my hand and placed it around his neck, with a heavy bite mark. If nothing else, I've bitten more than once, and there are scarred marks. I was a little weak-hearted, but I couldn't be upright and strong, and I met his fox eyes directly. Last night, it was just an accident. Besides, didn't you resist me? Rounding up is consensual, and at the end of the day, you're not a good person. The man didn't retort, but chuckled. Yes, Tilda, I'm not a good person. After all, I'm still cheating with my prospective niece and daughter-in-law here. When I heard those 2 words, I glared at him angrily. Did he be taught Chinese by a physical education teacher? Are these 2 words supposed to be used for this? What's more, he pulled me in, not by his will. Just as I was about to refute, there was a movement outside. I quickly pushed the person in front of me away, and straightened up the clothes that had just been messy from the tugging. Strange. Where did the people go? It was my mother's voice, and my heart immediately lifted. Porter Thoreau was very calm, and even picked up the cigarette that had been burning for a long time, shook the ashes, and smoked calmly. It still has a faint lipstick mark on it. When the voice faded away, I raised my eyes to look at him. It's time for me to go out. I've been gone long enough, and I'll have to find an excuse to deal with it later. The thought of this makes me tired. It's all to blame on this dog man. What are you pulling me in if you have nothing to do? It smells like smoke. Just as I was about to open the door and leave, he suddenly grabbed my hand and put me back against the door. After taking the last puff of the cigarette, snuff it out and throw it in the trash can on the side. Big hands clasped my cheeks and kissed them. The smoke instantly spread in my mouth, and I couldn't help but cough. What are you doing? Are you crazy? When I was able to breathe well, he gradually attacked the city, leaving me no room for anything. My hand pounded against his chest, trying to struggle, but he grabbed my hand and wrapped it around his waist with great possessiveness, until I bit the corner of his mouth. The smell of rust spread. He slowly let me go, ignoring the wound at the corner of his mouth. He raised his hand to wipe the sparkle from the corner of my mouth. Don't marry him. Porter Thoreau's voice was hoarse, even a little humble. I steadied my breath and looked at him with a blank face. You don't care. After saying that, I ignored his obstruction and opened the door and left arrogantly. After going out, I first went to the toilet to tidy up my appearance. Looking at himself flushed in the mirror, his heart was inexplicably complicated. Finally, I touched up my makeup and sprayed on a light perfume to remove the smell of smoke and the smell of Porter Thoreau from my body. Back in the restaurant, Porter Thoreau hasn't come back yet, and my mom has already started talking about children. It's best to have a pair of children, or 2 boys. Our family has a big business, and it doesn't matter if you have more. It's not a taste in my heart, because as a daughter, I have never been taken seriously, especially after that incident. I was at home like a smuggler. When she saw me come back, my mother's grinning mouth instantly retracted. You kid, why did you go so long? I can't find you when I go to the toilet. I didn't like her sharp eyes, as if I was a prisoner under scrutiny. I sat down softly and explained softly. I'm sorry, Mom. I saw a cat in the backyard after I went to the toilet and played with it for a while. Just as she was about to criticize me, Porter Thoreau returned. She stopped talking. I'm sorry. It's been a long time since I've been away. I'll give myself a drink. After speaking, he picked up the wine on the table and drank it down. After drinking, his face stiffened for a moment, and then returned to flatness. It was probably the alcohol that had irritated the corner of his mouth that I had bitten. Uncle, your mouth. Werner Thoreau looked at the corners of Porter Thoreau's mouth with interest. Uncle, have you finally opened the meat? When will you take us to meet your aunt? I'm so curious what kind of woman can get into your eyes. I feel that Werner Thoreau still respects Porter Thoreau. However, there is not much respect. When he asked, Porter Thoreau looked me in the eye. I had to avoid his gaze and keep scooping the soup with a spoon. It's just a little wild cat, proud and wild, and loves to bite. How can I be like this? Says me like a shrew. I kicked him in the foot as a warning. Unexpectedly, Werner Thoreau looked at me in pain. Hey, why are you kicking me? I smiled awkwardly. I'm sorry, I was careless. I caught the corners of Porter Thoreau's snickering lips, and I glared at him. That's him. It's embarrassing for me. Ahem. Porter Thoreau is not too young, and he is indeed going to put a lifelong event on his agenda. Which girl? I'll meet you sometime. The old man spoke. Are you old? Well, he looked 28 or 19 years old at most, and he didn't survive more than 30. She's shy. Let's wait for a chance. Well, he has a girlfriend, and that's what I was just now. Bah, scumbag. Feel my scolding eyes. The man looked at me suspiciously, not knowing why. The meal ends with an engagement date set. Finally got out of that suffocating place. However, I still feel a little out of breath when I gamble in my heart. Griselda Stone, when you marry into the Thoreau family, you must listen to the Thoreau family, especially Werner Thoreau. He's your husband, and a lot of things pass with one eye closed. You know, she knew that Werner Thoreau was a mess, and asked me to rush to the door. At the end of the day, I'm just a tool for their nurturing. Griselda Stone, your mother is talking to you. What are you doing? I looked up at the 2 people sitting in the front seat, obediently chimed in, Got it. They went on to talk about the benefits that the Thoreau family had given them. I was a little bored, and closed my eyes. But there is always a figure of a man in my mind. He gasped slightly, and a drop of sweat ran down his forehead and dripped onto my collarbone, merging with my sweat. The delicate face made me unable to take my eyes off. Want to indulge in it? I shook my head and shook the untouchable man out of my mind. Clowns don't deserve love. Actually, I've been loved before. At that time, there was a younger brother who loved me. No matter how much my parents ignore me, my brother will always see me in the corner. At first, I didn't have a cold or even a dislike for this younger brother. Because of his arrival, I, who was not taken seriously, was even more unloved. But he would keep the best food for me, and share his favorite toys with me. Pulling my little thumb, the milk called me, sister. Slowly, my heart melted with this little ball. When he was 5 years old, I took him to play by the pond in the community. His ball fell into the water. He looked at me with tears in his eyes. Sister, the ball is off. Pick it up. I smiled and stepped forward to help him pick it up. It was originally on the shore, and I could pick it up within my ability. Unexpectedly, my feet slipped and I accidentally fell into the water. My brother saw that I was in danger and wanted to arrest me. But how could a 5-year-old kid save me? I desperately shouted at him to go away. But he didn't listen. But he only knew that he wanted to pull me up. In the end, both of them fell into the water, and I couldn't hold on anymore, and sank. It is said that a teenager rescued me, but my brother left me forever. I can't wait for him to be rescued. My parents called up the community surveillance. And that day, I was slapped heavily. At that moment, I almost thought I was going blind. And there was darkness in front of me for a moment. It was my dad, who hid it. My mom was crying so much that she was about to faint, and she had no time for me. After this incident, the community property was sued by my family in court, and I, too, was grounded and thought about the wall. And I was not allowed to eat or drink for 3 days and 3 nights. I also complained, blame myself. Why not? I died. It's your brother you killed. You're the murderer. This phrase has been with me since then, and until now. I often wake up from nightmares. On this day, I was awakened again. I dreamed that my brother had turned into a water ghost and grabbed my ankles, and the feeling of suffocation from being submerged in the water hit me. When I woke up, I found that it was a cat lying in front of me, and it turned out that it was cat hair blocking my mouth and nose. I looked out the window, from black to white, to the rising sun. When I was almost numb in bed, I got up and cleaned myself up. Then I went out to the racing track. It was only when I felt the thrill of galloping that I could feel my true, vivid self. Griselda Stone, long time no see. Why haven't you been here lately? Yes, Sister Griselda Stone. My brothers miss you. Griselda Stone, I recently discovered a delicious restaurant. I'll take you to try it today. I put on a helmet and didn't want to talk nonsense with them. I'm not in the mood today. Next time, when they saw me coming, they cleared the scene in time. After all, I raced, fast and ruthless. No one dared to approach, and no one dared to compete. I drove 1, 2, 3 laps, until 10 laps. I still had no intention of stopping. As everyone knows, when I was immersed in the speed, how tall a figure was looking at me. I'll go. Porter Thoreau. This man is fierce. I heard she's still a woman. This drift, this speed, this is comparable to you. Porter Thoreau was dressed in a racing suit with a helmet in his hand, and stared obscurely at the crazy woman on the field. His handsome and noble temperament attracted the attention of those present, including me. For a moment, my eyes were drawn to the man. All of a sudden, I was out of order. My speed slowed down, and the car stopped in a hurry. It was the first time in the history of racing that I had a rollover. Everyone's eyes suddenly turned to me, and some of them couldn't save face. It's all Porter Thoreau. I saw the culprit come over and knock on my car window. I didn't open it at first, but in the end I didn't stand the gaze. What are you doing? My tone isn't too good. With him, there will be moths. Compare. Let's not talk about why I met him here. But after all these years, I've become unbeatable in this venue. I still have that confidence. Why should I compare with you? Uncle, don't you bully children? I called him uncle and followed Werner Thoreau. And there was nothing wrong with that. I saw that the man's face turned black in an instant, blacker than coal. But in the blink of an eye, he smiled defiantly. You wouldn't dare, would you? Joke. I'm the first sister in racing, so there's no time to dare. What if you lose? You have to make a little bit of a bet to be interesting, right? Porter Thoreau smiled indifferently. If I lose, you can dispose of it, you can tie me up, just whip me, I will accept it all. Do I have nothing to do with tying him up and pumping him? Am I sick? This person is a little shaky. So, how about you lose going around the racetrack and shouting, Griselda Stone is the most beautiful woman in the world. It's Nave, but I like it. I can't help but be delighted to think of Porter Thoreau of Cowlin doing such a thing. The man did not object, but resolutely agreed. It just makes me feel cheating. Okay, if you lose, then kiss me. I rolled my eyes, but agreed. He can't win. In addition, it's not that I haven't kissed it, and I won't lose a piece of meat if I kiss it. How do I feel that this is a reward for you? Who gave him self-confidence? Hurry up, don't you compare? He chuckled and went to get his car over. Cars one black and one red sit side by side at the velodrome. The audience picked up their mobile phones one after another, intending to take pictures of this historical scene. The roar sounded, and I saw two cars side by side. At the first turn, I found the right moment and turned the steering wheel. Ahead of Porter Thoreau, I snorted coldly. That's it, but he kept following him, as if he couldn't shake off his tail. When it came to the last turn, I don't know if I was taking it lightly, or if my skills were inferior. Was overtaken by him in an instant? Needless to say, I lost. The man got out of the car and looked at me smugly. I thumped the steering wheel, got out of the car, threw my helmet to the person who met me, and turned to walk away quickly. If I don't leave, in front of so many people, if this dog man really kisses, I won't have to lose the dead Griselda Stone. What's the origin of this man? Why haven't I seen him before? I'm a little impatient. How do I know? I have nothing to do with him. I took the cigarette he handed me, and he immediately took out a lighter and lit it for me. Let's just say, this person is too ignorant to know what to do. Don't you know that this is my Griselda Stone territory? I thought he would catch up with him to collect debts, but he didn't. Looking at a curvaceous woman in the distance, she was talking to Porter Thoreau, laughing and talking. This is the girlfriend he is going to take home to meet his parents. Oh, sure enough, men just like this hanging. I'll just say that Thoreau's family doesn't have a good thing. When I smoked, I didn't pay attention. I smoked so hard that I choked on myself. Don't give me such a strong cigarette again. I can't smoke it. Feeling that the picture was in the way, I went back to the break room, ready to change my clothes and go to the office. I've been absent from work for most of the day, and it is estimated that my phone has been turned off and my phone has been blown up. Just as I pulled the zipper, the door suddenly opened. I didn't even see anyone coming, but a big hand grabbed my waist and kissed me, because I was wearing clothes inside, and no one dared to enter my exclusive lounge, so I didn't even think about locking the door. Unexpectedly, it was taken advantage of by men. Porter Thoreau has always been fierce in this regard, and the kiss seems to be about to tear someone down. I thumped him in the chest and resisted. I was talking so vigorously with other women just now, and now I'm coming to see me. What's the matter? You let go. Just when I wanted to repeat the old trick, and was about to bite him, the man seemed to see through me, and let go in advance. His brow furrowed. Men's cigarettes. You smoked the cigarettes that other men gave you. I just took 2 bites, and there may still be a little taste in my mouth, but I didn't expect to be able to taste it by him. It's your business. I spoke in an extremely bad tone, looking at the man in front of me with disgust. Sure enough, I was so arrogant that I impulsively made this kind of bet with him. I forgot for a moment that he seemed to have a girlfriend. Otherwise, I would never bet with him. Porter Thoreau, you have a girlfriend and I have a fiancé, so we'd better not cross paths in the future. That night, let's just think it was an accident, and we can only say that we both made mistakes. The man's eyes grew colder, and I had to stagger his gaze. He suddenly grabbed my jaw and forced me to look at him. First, I don't have a girlfriend. I don't have any other women. You're the only one from beginning to end. You don't have to eat any flying vinegar. Second, your bullshit fiancé is nothing. I'm about to take the throne. Give me some more time. Third, it wasn't an accident. You're drunk, but I'm very sober. I was a little stunned. Is this being explained to me? but I still don't understand. Why? Love at first sight for me, however, Miss Ben, is beautiful and moving, and it is not unusual for me to fall in love at first sight. The man with the long mouth made me not know what to say for a moment. Hearing movement outside, I quickly pulled Porter Thoreau to the cloakroom. You said if I pursued Sister Griselda Stone, would she agree? You're just so virtuous. You'd better not let her hear it, or you'll be doomed. I'm just joking. I can't handle a woman as strong as Sister Griselda Stone. The door was opened. What about strange people? I remember she went back to the lounge. Maybe let's go. She's a resolute person, and you don't know it. The lights were turned off by them, and all the senses were instantly amplified, especially in this small space. I could even hear my heart beating. I don't know if it's his, or mine. Our Griselda Stone is so popular, Tilda, but he's right. It's really strong, especially in bed, and only I can control it. I kicked him. What a wolf is this? All right, get your pig's paw off my loins. I'm going out. His palms twisted lightly around my waist, causing shivers. I slapped his hand away and hung up my unloaded racing suit. Ignore the man in front of you. Just leave. I can't get stuck with him anymore. Otherwise, I'll be distracted. I wanted to stop struggling, but it didn't take long. I burst into Thoreau's house, and went straight to Porter Thoreau's office, ignoring the interception. Porter Thoreau, who was working, heard the movement and glanced up. When he saw that it was me, his eyes flickered and he stopped what he was doing. I'm sorry, Porter Thoreau. I didn't stop this lady. He waved his hand. It's okay. This young lady can come into my office at will. Go out, and close the door. Okay, Porter Thoreau. When Porter Thoreau said this, I could even feel the eyes of the people around me eating melons with their spare eyes. Maybe there will be some rumors coming out in the future. After the others left, I stepped forward and propped my hands on his desk, and looked at him with scrutinizing eyes. Porter Thoreau, what do you mean? I've obviously negotiated the Haitian project, and I'm just about to sign a contract. You're good. You are really not a thing. My eyes were cold, and I was really angry. I have worked hard for so long, and the fruits of my labor have been taken away by others. Can you not be angry? The man, on the other hand, was calm and looked at me, with his hands crossed. He chuckled. It's still a little wild cat, that can only blow up its hair. It's so cute. I'm talking to him about business, but he's teasing me. It's even angrier. Porter Thoreau, you're really bad. I'm telling you, I didn't feel anything that night. Completely, nothing. The corners of the man's mouth instantly retracted, seeing his eyes suddenly cold. My anger finally cleared out. In the next second, he was like a fox again, squinting his eyes, and a dangerous aura struck. Baby, I don't mind letting you feel it again, making you cry and beg me again. Damn, if you can't fight, your combat effectiveness will weaken in an instant. Give me back the project. No one knows it better than I do. Okay, tilde beg me tilde just like that night. Bastard. How can an eagle-like woman like me be so spineless? Please, you have to bow your head, when it's time to bow your head. I uttered these two words like an emotionless machine. Is this Griselda Stone's begging attitude? I took a deep breath and hesitated for 2 seconds. Please tilde okay tilde please. Please tilde. I've never been like this in my life. I was about to vomit out breakfast. I saw the man's Adam's apple move, and he was stunned in place. What about Porter Thoreau? Is this attitude possible? He hooked his lips and smiled, and pulled out his phone, and showed it to me. Okay, add a contact information to facilitate subsequent negotiations. I added his contact details. Then I'll go first, and I hope Porter Thoreau does what he says. At the end of the day, the project was handed over to me, but it needed to be done with Porter Thoreau. Porter Thoreau, day. So much so that I come to Thoreau's house more than I go to Stone's house. But this man always eats my tofu. Even when I was serious, I didn't notice that we were getting closer and closer. The man suddenly kissed me on the cheek. Just as I glared at him, he pursed his lips and said, I'm sorry, I didn't hold back. Another time, I took a sip of water from a cup and set it aside, but he picked it up and drank it, and pointed it at my lipstick print. He just said lightly, I'm sorry, I thought it was mine, until he took out the same cup. I was speechless. Porter Thoreau, if you do this again, I'm not going to be kind to you. He looked expectant. How do you want to be rude to me? Is it this and that? I do. Me. Just then, Werner Thoreau's voice came from outside the door. Little uncle, why are you locking the door? I heard that Griselda Stone is here with you. When I heard my name, I felt a chuckle, subconsciously got up and wanted to hide. Porter Thoreau hooked my feet and caused me to sit on top of him, one hand around my waist and the other on my thigh, keeping me from moving. What are you hiding? Is there something unsightly about it? So why did he lock the office door in broad daylight? What will people on the outside think? Let go. The man ignored it, raising his voice in response to the people outside. She's not here. Maybe go back. People outside heard the response. Okay. My mom asked me to have a meal with her and cultivate a relationship, so I won't bother the uncle. I know. The little ant is inside. Right. After there was no movement outside, the man caressed my earlobe. TSK. It seems that the office is not very soundproof, so I need to decorate it with soundproof cotton. I broke free of him, stood up and stomped on him, in my high heels. He gasped. Hey, you murdered your husband. Which husband? It's really going to add drama to myself. Later, I didn't see him when I came to Thoreau's house for a week. I don't know why. My heart is inexplicably blocked, and there is a sense of gap. Couldn't help but send him a message. He replied in seconds. What? Missed me. I can reluctantly make a video to relieve your lovesickness. How can a person be narcissistic to this extent? Get out. I'm just afraid of delaying the project. I'm on a business trip. I can't go back for a while. And if you have any questions, you can always look for me. Of course, you can find me if you want me. On a business trip, I muttered. What an unqualified partner. No advance notice is given. During this time of the Porter Thoreau business trip, Werner Thoreau made several appointments with me. At first, for the sake of the two families, I went. But Werner Thoreau is really cynical, and he doesn't have anything in common with me. Instead, they all want to sleep with me. The first time I made an excuse to escape, I never went out with him again. For this reason, my mother told me several times. The engagement date was approaching, and I couldn't escape. On that day, it was very lively outside. I looked at myself in the mirror, wearing elaborate makeup, like a puppet. I didn't even call my best friend over. I don't want her to witness my unhappiness. Today, I wonder if he will come. But it doesn't seem to make a difference whether you come or not. It will only mess up my heart. When the hour came, the staff called me out. I just came back from my thoughts. I lowered my head and stirred my fingers, not feeling good in my heart. The door opened, and everyone looked at me. I took a deep breath, lifted my gown, and looked up like I was going to battle. But after the people on the stage, my heart trembled. How could it be Porter Thoreau? It's not Werner Thoreau. It's Porter Thoreau. I was full of doubts. Seeing that I was stunned, the man took the initiative to step down and walk to my side. Take my hand and put it around the crook of his arm. What? Seeing that I'm so happy that I can't speak, that's when I realized that this wasn't a dream, and it wasn't a hallucination. After going through the process, I realized that Porter Thoreau had confessed to them about us. Werner Thoreau was exiled by the Thoreau family. Porter Thoreau gave him enough conditions to reform Werner Thoreau and raise him to be a worthy heir. The Thoreau family agreed to this ridiculous thing. My mother said to Porter Thoreau, "You have to be nice to her in the future, or I won't let this old woman go." Yours. I was a little stunned. I didn't expect her to say that. I thought she didn't love me. Griselda Stone. Porter Thoreau is the one who saved you in the first place, and you really have a fate? My heart suddenly stopped for a few minutes. The hand was withdrawn from his. It turned out to be him. My mind went blank and I fled the scene. Porter Thoreau chased after him. Outside the auditorium, I was pulled by him. What's wrong? I shook off his hand and completely collapsed. Why did you save me? Why don't you save my brother first? You might as well let me die. It would be nice if my brother survived. The man pursed his lips and spoke for a long time. The voice was hoarse. I'm sorry. I didn't think too much about it at the time and chose the principle of proximity. But when your brother was rescued, he was no longer breathing. I crouched on the ground and cried a little helplessly. Actually, I can't blame anyone. It's all my fault. The man also crouched down and hugged me. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm too late. I shook my head. My parents, who caught up, stopped in place, and my mom crouched down and stroked my back. I'm sorry, baby. If it weren't for Porter Thoreau, who found out about your medical records and told me, I didn't know how much pain you've been all these years. Porter Thoreau. He talked to us a lot, and we reflected on it for days and nights. And at night we couldn't sleep with self-blame. My dad was as arrogant as he spoke. Yes, it's true that we were wrong. We are half a foot into the coffin. We should be sober. I cried even louder. But how can I heal my childhood? I was much better after crying. Dad, Mom, I'm fine. You can go back. Seeing them look reluctant, I really don't get used to it, and even maliciously speculated that they were pretending. Perhaps, you will get used to it later. Yes, Mom and Dad, you go back first. I'll take care of him. Dog man. This changed his words really quickly. It's so easy to scream. I twisted his waist slightly. Porter Thoreau, I don't want to go back to the banquet hall, and let everyone see my ugly side. He smiled indulgently. Okay, let's go on a date. In the evening, he gave a formal confession, saying that he would make up for it after the proposal. I drank a little wine to cheer him up, and knocked him down. Porter Thoreau, I want to try again. Him, I said, I want to try again. How it felt that day. After saying that, I pinched his chin domineeringly and kissed him. The end.